Well, we are now building up for the start of the Motorcycle Grand Prix. We have got the 50th running of the race for the bikes today, Tom, and it's a race where we've had a fantastic amount of success for British talent in the past. We're going to take a little bit of a look at last year's race, which saw another British victory, but it's a race where the British drivers keep going back, and it's a race where the drivers need a tremendous amount of skill.
Yeah, the riders here, the Brits tend to go very well because of their road racing experience. You know, they come from lots of running at the Isle of Man in the northwest, and on pole today we've got Martin Jessup, who's actually a short track racer and then makes the transition to being a road racer as well. And Glenn Irwin is another one of those. Michael Rutter, who's won here 8 times, he's sandwiched in the middle of the front row. He's also been short circuit racing this year, but predominantly Mr. Macau.
Well, the riders are taking their place on the grid as we build up ready to the start of this year's race. Let's take a look back on the highlights from last year's action.
It's that moment in time when the whole pit lane and paddock holds its breath, because now, in the next few minutes and the next 12 laps of this remarkable and unique Macau Grand Prix circuit, all questions will be answered. The Macau Grand Prix is underway. Great start from the middle of the front row by Michael Rutter. Jessup in front of Rutter, Rutter round the outside of Jessup, and it is Jessup. Martin Jessup from pole leads Peter Hickman away. Rutter, and it's Hutchie on the inside. There's a little bit of sorting out going on. Rutter is still hanging on here, but Hutchie's up the inside on the brakes and through. Jessup, with a lead of 2 seconds now, is pulling away. Oh dear, that's Davy Morgan. He's okay. This, which has now turned into the story of the race. It's an outbreaking competition. Hickman's done it. Jessup puts his foot down, but Hickman is through. Peter Hickman is in the lead of the Macau Grand Prix. They swap places in the slipstream. It's Gary Johnson from Michael Rutter. This is the battle for 3rd place. Hutchie and McGuinness and Connor Cummins 3 abreast. Rutter standing the BMW on its nose, backs it into Lisboa again, and this time he gets away with it. Checkered flag should be waving for the man in front of him. There he is. Here's your fairy tale, folks. Peter Hickman, on his 2nd visit to the Macau Grand Prix, has taken a superb and convincing victory.
The Motorcycle Grand Prix at the Macau Grand Prix is steeped in history. 50 years it celebrates today, and this weekend is a very, very special weekend for the Motorcycle Grand Prix. With me, Mick Grant, a man who won it himself here back in the day, and has come back to celebrate with the guys. And it really is something special, not just to be taking part, but also to be part of this atmosphere.
Absolutely. The circuit really hasn't changed much at all, but certainly Macau has. It's a completely different place. When I came here the first time in 1977, it was like the Wild West. It's a bit more sophisticated now.
And of course, all the greats have come here, and the achievements of yourself, Ron Haslam, Kevin Schwantz, and of course, more recently, Stuart Easton, and the big man, of course, Michael Rutter. I don't think anybody would have expected Michael Rutter to continue to be as strong as he has here.
Road circuits are a bit special. I think around here, I think experience is actually more important than bravado, and that's why Michael's actually still somewhere near the top round here.
Are you enjoying it, just being a spectator?
Oh, it's so much better than not having to race, yeah. I mean, it's just so relaxing watching the guys, and watching the guys' faces and seeing the pressure they're under that I don't have to have anymore. It's really nice.
Thank you very much, Mick. Mick, of course, a big part of the 50-year history of this amazing motorcycle Grand Prix. But who's going to etch his name in the history books in 2060 at this very special one? We're about to find out.
Well, we have the bikes forming up on the grid now, ready for the start of the 50th Motorcycle Grand Prix, and the grid just beginning to clear a little bit.
Yeah, Martin Jessup on pole. It's a BMW Lockout 1-2. Michael Rutter with 8 wins here aboard the second, or the lead Baltham's SMT racing bike, I should say, the second of the BMWs. And then it's Glenn Irwin, the rookie, on the BY's of Ducati. Paul Bird's BSB squad here. Glenn Irwin riding. He rounds out the front row. Gary Johnson doing a good job aboard his Pens13.com BMW. Then it's Stuart Easton on the second of the Baltham's SMT racing bikes. Fifth, Horst Seiger, who had a bit of a high side, is sixth. He had a bit of an incident in Lisboa, but at the moment, Stuart Easton with 3 wins, Michael Rutter with 8 wins. They're second and fifth, and then Peter Hickman, last year's winner, won here last year, his second ever visit to Macau. He lines up in 7th, and interestingly, 2 tyre manufacturers here this weekend, Metzler and Dunlop. The top 6 riders all on Metzler tyres. The first of the Dunlop shod runners, Peter Hickman, down in 7th on the Baltham's SMT Racing BMW. So 2 of the Baltham's bikes on Metzler's. Peter Hickman preferring the Dunlop tyre. He starts ahead of legend John McGuinness. John on the Honda, the factory Honda bikes, here with John McGuinness and Connor Cummins. They're 8th and 9th. And then it's Hutchie, who's had so much success over the years, namely in the Isle of Man, but raced very well in Superstock Thou, in British Superbikes this year as well. He starts ahead of Dan Keane, and that's the lead. Yamaha down in 11th. Didier Grams is in P12, the German on his German run BMW. But all eyes now on the front row. Martin Jessup, Michael Rutter, Glenn Irwin. Who's going to get the run down to Lisboa? We've seen the track is not quite in perfect condition. The delay to the FIA F3 World Cup delayed that race just gone on, and won by Antonio Felix da Costa. But now it's the turn of the riders, and there is John McGuinness. Now, Keith, obviously, I don't think you mind me saying, slightly new to the motorcycle scene. But,
yeah, well,
you've seen the FIA F3 World Cup, and now the turn of the riders. What they do around here is something special. The barrier is very, very close.
Well, it's extraordinary. Yeah, I mean, like I say, you know, I'm a car guy. I don't watch an awful lot of bike racing, but you have to absolutely take your hat off in respect to what these guys are doing. You know, to race bikes on an ordinary circuit is impressive enough, but a track like this, which is almost entirely bordered by unyielding Armco barrier, which you can't see around, where they're taking the apices, you know, with their crash helmets or their arms or their legs, is really quite phenomenal. These guys are astonishingly brave. Merely taking part in the race, you deserve a prize for, let alone coming home in the top 3 positions.
Well, Ian Hutchinson, who we just saw on screen getting ready, he's broken his legs and had his legs rebuilt and he's had to learn to change gear with his other foot because his gear changing foot doesn't function, doesn't work as well as it would, so he's had to relearn to change gear with his other foot, and just doing that so he can be out here and ride bikes is something incredible. But to ride at the speed he does and to have the success he's had, and in the short circuit stuff, and also here at Macau and the Isle of Man, a very, very special man is Ian Hutchinson, and we wish him all the success. I think we're about to get underway.
Yep, the grid is beginning to clear, so we're going to hand over to our commentary team at the track, which is Richard Nichols and 1996 winner Philip McCallum.
But the parade of historic motorcycles which should have preceded this race has been cancelled, partly because it's getting dark and because it's getting cloudy, and we had a 1 hour delay. If you've been watching the stream all through the day, then you'll know that the GT cars made a bit of a mess of the Armco, and that put some delay into the series. And then the Formula 3 cars unusually made quite a big dent in the Armco, and that gave us another 1 hour delay while the welding took place. Their race was pretty much as according to plan once that excitement was over and done with, although I don't suppose poleman George Russell will agree with that. But poleman here, Martin Jessup, in the middle of this throng, letting everybody else go past him as they make the right turn at the end of it's the front straight's got a kink in it really, and the first big turn is that right at Mandarin, and then we're running down to the hard stop at Lisboa, down through the gearbox, turn right here into the San Francisco Hill, turn under the bridge at Lisboa and away up the hill and around this fabulous street circuit, climbing most of the time as they go up between the Armco here. Black yellow is how Michael Dunlop famously described it, and you're probably fed up with hearing everybody repeat it after all this time. Glenn Irwin, who's a newcomer here this weekend, also came as a bit of a shock. He spent weeks and weeks and weeks on computer games, and there is Glenn Irwin in the middle of that little pack, the leaderboard counting down in front of you, and I am joined in the commentary box, as I have been every day this week, every session this week, to my enormous pleasure, by Philip McCallum, who has been not only a winner here and a racer here, so he's got that going on for him, but also he's been poking around down in pit lane and knows what's been going on. And what, anything to report from down there apart from lunch?
I don't want to tell you lunch. You know what, Richard? I never got any lunch. You might have had, but I didn't. I was doing my homework.
I'm sorry for you.
Yeah, no, it's been a great. There's going to be lots to talk about, but you know, there's a lot of excitement in the paddock. This is going to be a hard race. I think, to be honest, this is going to be the toughest Macau Grand Prix in the last few years, because we have realistically 6 potential winners. We've also got another problem. Not a problem, something that could make a big difference. We have a tire fight on here. We've got a tire competition between Dunlop and Matzler. The 3 real main Dunlop men are Peter Hickman, who's running on Dunlops. He had a tire strategy last year. We've got John McGuinness on Dunlops, and we have Connor Cummings on Dunlops. And those 3 boys all qualified on race tires. The rest of the field, or the boys up front, are running on Matzlers.
And they, of course, had qualifying tyres in, and we saw the difference. If you look at the times in this morning's warm-up, it was a couple of seconds away from the qualifying pace of yesterday morning, and that 2 seconds is a qualifying tyre, isn't it?
Yeah, it is really around here. This is a 6-kilometre course, and we see that the middle section, which is the back third of the course, is just crazy on tyres. That's the one that eats the tyres. That's the one where you've got to get the brakes on, get the gas on. So yes, a qualifying tyre would make a big difference, and to be honest, our times show that. The first really Dunlop qualifier there is Peter Hickman in 7th place. Then we have John McGuinness in 8th place and Connor Cumming in 9th. Isn't that a bit strange, really, how the 3 race tyres are 8th,
yes.
9th and 10th? Sorry,
7th, 8th and 9th, yeah. 10th place is I should know better, Ian Hutchinson, who had electrical problems with his Tyco BMW. He's probably got most of that sorted out, but there is still a question mark over what's going to happen for him in this race. He was looking pretty glum in pit lane last time I saw him, but of course things change so fast in racing. But right now the red flag leaves the grid, the red lights come on. We are ready for the start at the 50th Macau Motorcycle Grand Prix is underway. That's it, heading down towards the first right-hander, and the pole man Martin Jessup didn't get the start he was looking for.
But the old dog Rudder got off the line pretty quick there.
Well, you can call him an old dog because he races together. Look who's behind him though, tucked in second place at 67, bike of Glenn Irwin. Jessup is in third place. Peter Hickman working his way up through the field. Stuart Easton also on the move there. Those bikes are so distinctive, aren't they?
Yeah, well, that's it. We've got two of Team Rubber in the first four at the minute, but Glenn Irwin, who's been a superb newcomer here, he's done the right thing really. He's got a good start and he's got in behind the master. I mean, someone with 8 wins here, we've got to call him the master.
He is absolutely the maestro of this place. The question now is the one that you've raised. How long will Michael Rutter's tyres allow him to ride at this place? How patient will Martin Jessup be before he thinks I'm going to get on with this? You can't let a breakaway group develop and not be part of it. But it is Rutter from Irwin, from Martin Jessup. I'm struggling to say the poor boy's name.
I think it's the excitement, Richard. Well, Rudder, he's got the experience, he's got the know-how, and he's probably running on a soft race tyre there, so he's going to make that work hard for the first few laps here.
Who's in fourth place behind Jessup there? Number 1. Peter Hickman.
Oh, Peter Hickman. Well, if Peter Hickman, to be honest, if Peter Hickman's in there in the first lap and there's a little bit of space, he's not going to worry too much about it, because in the theory of the whole thing is the Dunlop will last much longer than the Metzlers. Now, that's if they've used the soft Metzler. If they've used the hard Metzler, it will last.
But it'll be a bit slower.
It'll be a bit slower. I think, to be honest, Rudder's going a little bit too fast in the first lap to have a hard car on there. But I mean, Glenn Irwin, he's doing a superb job to get in there now. And what will happen here, let's not forget, that every lap Glenn Irwin gets around here, he's going to learn a little bit more. He's going to be a little bit more comfortable.
Even during the race?
Yeah, definitely. You know, he's only done, what, 2 hours around this place, and Michael Rudder has done, what, 200 hours?
Well, he's going to have to think about it now, because he's got Martin Jessup pulling out of the slipstream alongside him as they run down beside the seawall, turning right on to the start-finish straight. And at the very top of the picture, that's the bit you want to see, wasn't it? There it is, Jessup still third, and Hickman still fourth, and the big gap is behind Peter Hickman, isn't it? Horst Seiger, the bouncing Austrian, is the man behind that in 5th place. Then it's Gary Johnson, Ian Hutchinson already up from 10th. Connor Cummins, Stuart Easton going down a little bit now.
No, I think Martin Jessup's going to get a little bit impatient here, because he'll be thinking this young boy is holding me back. And you know, Martin Jessup, he's hard on the brakes.
He wanted that.
Yeah, he does. We watched him in practice. Like, let's not forget, for the last couple of years, Martin Jessup has been pole position here, but he just hasn't managed to get that win.
Well, that's a good move from, and a very determined move from Martin Jessup. And I say, Glenn Irwin at this early stage of the race will look at it and go, well, if you want it that badly, you can have it now, but he won't be able to get away with that so easily later.
Yeah, no, Glenn will be learning every lap. He's a racer, let's not forget that. And he's fit. He runs BSB every week. He runs 2 races at a weekend, sometimes 3, so the distance won't be a problem. And the theory of the whole thing as well is that the Ducati will be easier on the tyre than the Kawasaki. Let's not forget the fight every week in the BSB. Leon Haslam uses a slightly harder tyre on the Kawasaki, and Shaky Byrne uses a softer tyre on the Ducati. And who's been picking up the most wins?
Absolutely. This is the view back underneath the hump on the riders' motorcycles. BMW Martin Jessup, that is Glenn Irwin behind him. He's closer than that makes it look. But I think, although Peter Hickman is close, the gap back from Hickman to Seiger is getting bigger. Michael Rutter is the man going purple in the middle sector of this opening lap, and now he's setting the pace still. And these guys have got to stay with him. Martin Jessup is doing his best to do that.
No, I think everyone, the top fours, all, you know, they've all had a pace during practice, so they're all fit to run at that pace. And to be honest, Michael's not away. You know, that's still close. In fact, you know what? If Martin Jessup catches him, he might pull away.
Well, Martin Jessup is ferociously quick around here, as we've seen, and he can do those qualifying speeds endlessly, as long as he's got the tyre to do it on. So he'll run at the same pace until the tyre gives up on him. And that'll be an interesting thing to see, won't it? Whether this is going to fall into Hickman's lap or not. He's 4th place and 3 seconds more, or just over 2 seconds away from the race leader. He's right on Glenn Irwin's back wheel now, and almost sizing up Glenn Irwin in the same way that Martin Jessup did a lap earlier, but he's not close enough to do that late braking stuff, because Martin Jessup was alongside by now.
Well, you know, the last lap proved it. Their quickest lap of the race was Martin Jessup last lap. Rudder was on a 2:25.5, Glenn Irwin on a 2:26, and Hickman on a 2:25.8. So they're all on the same pace. It'll settle down now over the next couple of laps, and everyone will be weighing it up and working what to do, and then the next strategy will have to come in about lap 8. But I think, to be honest, Hickman at the back just might be the danger man, because they believe that those Dunlops will last better in the Matchlers at the end. So it's going to be interesting to see.
Well, he came on strong at the start. I suppose he knew he had to be with this group in order for that strategy to pay off. So he's done part one of his job, really, hasn't he? He's with the leading group.
Yeah, and that was the main thing. If he was there, like, let's not forget about last year. Last year, how far he came up. You know, in the last, from midway on, he just kept chipping away, and didn't have a problem. But no, I think everyone's riding good here. Rudder's setting the pace. Martin Jessup runs hard behind him, and Glenn Irwin will be learning every lap. He will be fitter. There's no problem there. So it's just as long as he feels happy and comfortable, and he's a mature enough rider to know that, look, you know, you've got to be comfortable, you've got to be happy if you want to win.
Well, a lot of people have put the name Glenn Irwin at the top of their list in the paddock sweepstakes, and there are many of them going on. I've had to turn down most of them, so it's only afford to do one. But there's a lot of them with Glenn Irwin at the top of their sheets, and there's an awful lot of them with Rutter at the top. There's an awful lot with Jessup at the top, and there's not many with Peter Hickman's name at the top, and I think they are already beginning to wonder if they've lost their stake.
I happen to see a copy of that little sweep that was going around, and another lad who's well up in the media PR game, and a ex-racer with a lot of knowledge, and mixes with a guy. He put Hickman up front. I'm not going to tell you who it is until later on, because...
Well, let me see if I can guess. Yes. So the paddock is full of ex-racers, actually. Not all of them are in the commentary box with us, unfortunately, but there's a lot of accumulated knowledge and experience from them around here to celebrate this 50th anniversary. And this is developing it into the kind of race we had hoped, isn't it?
Well, there's Peter Hickman now making a little move, so he's happy the tyres are working good. And Glenn Irwin, to be honest, he's doing good. He's only had 2 hours around this track. Those 3 guys he's with are well experienced around here.
So Hickman moves up past Glenn Irwin into 3rd place. Irwin's with him. Oh, very different line going in there. I think Glenn Irwin got a bit overexcited.
Yeah, the thing about Glenn Irwin, really, to be honest, you know, he's going to be hot on the brakes. You know, if you're out braking with Shaky Byrne every week in the BSB, you know how to use those. So, you know, it is a place, if he had to squeeze it a little harder, I think Glenn could do that. But there's a slight space opening up. But to be honest, I don't think we need to worry yet. You know, there's still a lot of laps to go, and a lot of tyre wear is going to come into effect later.
Well, we'll have a look at the end of this lap and see if this gap between the first 2 and the second 2 is changing in any way. It was just over 2 and a bit seconds between 4th place and 1st place previously, and if it's bigger than that, then we'll know exactly what's going on. And this, while we're watching Glenn Irwin studying Peter Hickman's form and deciding what he's going to do about it, and where perhaps he's going to do something about it, let's remind ourselves that Horse Cycle is still 5th ahead of Ian Hutchinson, Connor Cummins, Gary Johnson, Stuart Easton, and Derek Shields. Not bad for another newcomer in 10th place.
You know, Derek Shields, he's a good road racer. We know he's scored a lot of wins this year at home in the National Series. You know, he's beat famous names like the Dunlops in National Road Races this year. So, I mean, we have a strong field out there. Look at John McGuinness sitting in number 11 at the minute. Dan Cooper in behind him.
So Rutter leads Jessup into the final corner and out onto the start-finish straight, and we'll see our timing changes as we start the 4th of 12 laps. And Glenn Irwin is, let me see, he is 2.0 seconds away from race leader, so that's nothing still.
No, I think that's nothing here. You know, this is a fast track, and I see these 4 boys are all fit men. In theory, Glenn Irwin should be the fittest of those. He's the youngest boy there, but you can't beat the experience of runner. But I just think Martin Jessup, you know, he's tired. He's fed up finishing second in this race. And I say Hickman, you know, he's still not away. And if Glenn Irwin just hangs in behind Hickman, I think it's really going to be, you know, from lap 7, 8 on where tires will come into play, and stamina as well.
In a way, if you can see that gap sort of starting to stretch between Martin Jessup and Peter Hickman. Hickman on the Dunlop, a little bit slower at this point in the race than the Mensa runners, and he's perhaps holding Glenn Irwin up a little bit, as we know how difficult it is to pass here, especially when there's fractions of a second difference between you in lap times.
Yeah, I'm just watching Martin Jessup here, and he's holding a pretty tight line on that bike. He's turning that bike in wherever he wants, you know, when he wants to pull it back in. And in the back section here, it's so important, because, you know, if you mess up one corner, really, you've wrecked the next 3 corners, and Jessup seems to be just turning in where Michael's running a little bit wider. Jessup's just holding that bike in, so that could come into play later.
Michael Rutter, as always, smooth and polished on a motorcycle, even around a scratchy little street circuit. And I say that with the greatest respect, but it is a very scratchy circuit, perhaps more so than here, around the Macau hairpin at the end of the hillside section, that big mountain section of the Macau Grand Prix circuit. I'm sure that this gap is getting bigger, that Peter Hickman is a little bit further behind Martin Jessup than he was, and that's taking Glenn Irwin backwards as well. A couple of seconds was the gap there. Let's see, we'll be able to measure it. They catch it up here. As soon as they come out onto the straight, they just open throttle all the way virtually. The speeds are pretty similar. The power delivery is pretty similar. They all, as you keep saying, they all know how to accelerate, don't they?
Yeah, no, I think Martin Jessup's playing a good game here, really, because, you know, Michael Rutter, he's experienced. He has the most laps around here. And, you know, if Martin Jessup does manage to sit in there until the last couple of laps, I think that's where it'll become exciting. It just looks like Hickman's opening a little bit of a gap on Glenn Irwin at the minute. But, like I say, he's young, he's strong, and he's fit, so we'll not worry just yet. If you look on the brakes there, everyone on the brakes is well closing up, so... I think, to be honest, we're going to have to wait another few laps until we can make predictions. But you did talk about a lot of racers in the paddock and a lot of ex-racers, and really it's between these 4 boys and Hutchie that everyone's been predicting as a winner, and we did say 6 winners. Hutchie has got dropped off a little bit at the start, and he's not been able to pull it back, and he was having little problems with the bike. Little things just weren't going all the way he wanted in practice, where it was going that way for these 4 boys. And to be honest, when you have a bad, a hard, a tough practice, it's hard to make that up in a place like this.
Well, looking backwards from Martin Jessup's BMW, Peter Hickman should be there, but he's not, so we're pulling away a little bit, and Glenn Irwin a dot in the distance. Jessup still right behind Michael Rutter though, and it's starting to look like a 2-man race, isn't it? Starting to look very much of it going to be between those two, unless Hickman's tyre brings him back into the equation as the race laps unfold. 6 out of 12 is what we're on, so half distance coming up, and about now perhaps is when Michael Rutter is going to feel his tyre starting to go away from him, but it'll be fine for him for another couple of laps, maybe 3 or 4. But the last couple are when he's going to really know that it's going away.
I think, to be honest, you know, that's pretty consistent really there at the minute. Rudder is trying hard. Jessup is not going to definitely give up. And don't forget Peter Hickman. We've watched him all year. We've watched him at the TT. We've watched him at the Northwest. He hasn't had the road races. Things haven't fell in the way he wanted this year, but we know he can ride. He's put in a few superb BSB performances this year, so we'll not give up on him just yet.
Martin Jessup, as you rightly say, never gives up. Neither does Michael Rutter. So if Martin Jessup wants to pass, and he definitely does want to pass, then Michael Rutter isn't going to make it easy for him. Rutter tucked down behind the bubble, Jessup out of the slipstream. This is what he wanted. He's already in front. It was that easy for Martin Jessup.
That
just
corner.
a breeze past.
The Mandarin, that corner there is so scary. You know, that corner's easy.
Oh, wait a minute, Rutter hasn't given it up either. Michael Rutter on the inside, Jessup with his foot down like Valentino. It's a motocross turn-in for Jessup. He keeps it all together, but he's back in second place, and Michael Rutter, as I said, doesn't give up.
Yeah, and you know what it's done though? It's that Peter Hickman get back on the back wheel.
Yes, well, all the time they're doing that, the people behind them are going to be getting a little bit closer, riding a bit more smoothly and a little bit quicker.
Yeah, and to be honest, you know, Rudder's been doing all the work. Jessup's been doing all the work to stay there, and Hickman has saved a little bit of energy and closing in now. And if Glenn Irwin gets close, you just never know what's going to happen in the last couple of laps.
Well, we said this could be a classic race, and it might well be exactly that for the 50th anniversary.
You can see Michael run a little wide out of some of those turns, and Martin Jessup's holding it in, and that means Jessup's quite confident with those tyres, and if he does have to turn it in somewhere in the last lap, he won't be afraid to. He's actually riding very, very good. He's holding some superb lines there. And this is a course, as we know, there's no runoff in this course, and Glenn Irwin's back on the tail again, you know. So on the last lap, to be honest, you know, Rudder had a 26 last lap, Jessup had a 25.6, Hickman had a 25.7, and Glenn Irwin had a 25.6. So them boys are all on the pace, and you'll see this possibly slip it down into the 24s.
Well, the lap record set in 2010 was Stuart Easton's, and that's a 2:23, which is an extraordinary performance when you look at how much motorcycles have improved in the past 6 years and how much tyres have improved in the past 6 years. Now Jessup's going to try it again.
And I think, to be honest, Jessup, he feels more comfortable. This is the fast section of the course, and this is where he feels he can pass Rudder. If you watch now, he carries a lot of speed through these turns. Look, he gets the gas on, and that's where he managed to get the slipstream from the pass.
Well, he was alongside at this point before, so not going to happen quite the same way, but
I think he will pass it. Don't forget we're coming into the Mandarin here, and that's 150 mile an hour corner.
In second place as they make that right turn. The crowd certainly thinks so. The crowd wants him. The crowd's cheering him on. And the crowd going to get their way. Into the right-hander at Lisboa in the lead, but Rutter is right back at him. Take that, and Jessup back at him. Take it back again. Wow, Michael Rutter, that was hard work for Michael Rutter. You just saw how determined Michael Rutter is not to come second in this race.
Michael has had some superb racing this year, so he's fit to ride. He can pull the brake, and maybe he's just having a, you know, when you've been leading and working hard the whole time, you know, and someone comes past, well, that'll be a minute or two just to get a breath back and line the whole thing up. You know, you can see some of those corners, Michael's just run that a little bit wider in, and you never know now. If, you know, Jessup, he might be confident if he can hold them lines and get the gas on, he could possibly open a little bit. You know, he wouldn't have passed there if he didn't think he could pull away.
Well, he was quickest in this section in qualifying, and you have to be if you want to be on pole position. He knows how to ride this section when all he's doing is racing the clock, but when he's got this little pack breathing down his neck, the pressure is on, it might not quite be so easy for him. He's just got to concentrate on everything he knows and make it smooth, and in theory you should be able to ease away from Michael Rutter because he has the ultimate speed.
Yeah, no, he's going good, and we've watched him in practice. He's just been putting lap in, all at a good pace. But look, he's not away yet. There's 3 strong racers behind him, and they ain't going to give up.
It's times like this you think, why is it only 12 laps? Because I could do with 15 of these. But we're on lap 8 out of those 12. And
I think, to be honest, I've been watching Hickman there, and that's his personal best so far in Sector 2. So, you know, maybe those Dunlops are starting to work.
well, this is about where we thought that tyres would become an issue. And we'll wait to see. We'll be able to see it if it happens to Martin Jessup. Gives you a close-up view of that rear tyre. Glenn Irwin, I think I'm going to stick my neck out a bit here, but if he can stay there, Glenn Irwin could well be the danger man in all of this. He's following them around, watching their lines, seeing what they do. He's close enough, Glenn Irwin, to have a go in the last couple of laps. You don't want to do it on lap 8.
The only trouble will be here. Look, there's Hickman getting ready to move now. And, you know, Hickman's getting comfortable. Look at that. There's never been these bikes just so close into that first turn into Lisboa. Now up France, San Francisco Hill.
Jessup on the gas as quickly as he can be. Rutter, Hickman, little gap to Glenn Irwin now. And I might just be about to see Glenn Irwin drop away from this, and I'll be completely wrong about it. But he was so close on that run down towards Lisboa. There's Martin Jessup's view, and you can see how close it is to the wall, almost brushing it with the shoulder of your leathers.
Yeah, I mean, some people do. There's been, and you have seen riders in the past with scuffs on the shoulder. This circuit is exactly.
Oh, that was Rutter right out, wasn't it?
Yeah, he's trying hard. He just does not want. He knows if Martin Jessup gets away, he will not catch him again. And Peter Hickman, to be honest, I think he thinks Rutter's holding him up a little bit now. So, you know, maybe Michael's tires is going off a little bit. But like, until it's over, this race isn't over. And like you said, Glenn Irwin on the back, allegedly that Ducati is that little bit easier on tyres than the other bikes, so he's on a match where the same as the front two boys, and Peter Hickman, he's on the Dunlop, so, but 12
Glenn
laps.
Irwin might be riding very cleverly here. These three are spinning it up in all sorts of places, racing each other, and Glenn Irwin's keeping it cool at the back end of this. He might, as you say, but as you can, he might have more rubber left at the end than the other Metzler riders. He might well do. And if that's the case, he could be a threat to these men. But at the moment, you've got to say Martin Jessup looks like he could be on course for it. He's wanted this win for so long. We've sometimes sat here with our fingers crossed thinking, come on, Martin, this has got to be your year. And it might be.
Taking a quick look at the times there, you know, the best lap of the race so far has been Martin Jessup, and that was into the 2:24s. So, I mean, look at Hickman. I think it's the fast. If we look at the fast sectors, that's the ones where these boys are closing up. And Michael, you know, they're just carrying that wee bit more corner speed. And I think this is a lap where Hickman will pull out of the draft into Lisboa and try to slip it up the inside.
He tried to do that before. He's already alongside Michael Rutter. He's outside. Oh, and he is almost through, but Rutter goes to the front, taking advantage of that.
It's likely. The Rossi style leg. Those boys were all breaking hard there. They nearly.
And here comes Irwin. Yes. Oh, Martin Jessup just wasn't ready for that on either side of him. I'd like to see that again in slow motion, because he knew that Hickman was coming, but he wasn't expecting to see Michael Rutter pop back into the. Neither were we, really. Let's be honest about that. Neither of us thought that was going to happen.
I think, to be honest now, he's just lost that little bit of momentum. It's going to be very hard to pull it back. There's only 2 laps left, so Martin Jessup has got a big job on, but look, he's not going to give up either.
Well, here we go then for the final 2 laps. Rutter, Hickman, Irwin and Jessup are your top 4, and the gap back to Connor Cummins, it is now in 5th place, is about 17 seconds. So this is it and all about it. And Michael Rutter, 9 wins. Who'd say at any point that you could deny him that? And we've been saying that all weekend. Right now is Peter Hickman's the man who stands between him and another entry in the record books.
But look, they're all close. Glenn Irwin's there too. They're just going to be squeezing a little bit more.
Rutter and Hickman almost in each other's wheel tracks. Irwin with Jessup starting to look a little bit threatening. Here we are. Let's have a look at this again. I wanted to see this. Hickman goes out to the right, and all of a sudden Rutter passed Jessup and also passed Hickman, stopped him coming back across.
Oh, you know what happened there? It looks like he missed a gear changing down. He was hunting for another gear there, so that just let him run that little bit wide.
Wow.
You know, when you hit a neutral and all the engine braking goes off the back wheel, that's dangerous, because sometimes what happens, you manage to get it into first, let the clutch out, that locks the back wheel. So he's done well even to stay in 4th place.
Well, Michael Rutter did that very cleverly, denying an important pitch of racetrack to Peter Hickman, and Hickman had to get out of it in order to make the right turn. So now he'll be anxious to undo that damage, and here's his opportunity. Is this Hickman at the front? Is this Jessup into 3rd? No, to Jessup.
This is one where Hickman, look at that, the bike just sliding. That is a fast, I tell you. That is the most scariest corner in road racing.
It's not over yet. It's definitely not over yet. Here comes Michael Rutter. He's not close enough. It's going to be Hickman hanging on to 1st place, and Glenn Irwin still fending off Jessup. So that worked for Hickman perfectly, according to plan.
This is a sector here now. If Hickman's tyres are gripping good, this really works the tyre. This is the back 3rd. This is the most technical part of this whole course. You know, if you're confident in the front tyre, you can just run in, holding the brake on, scrub the speed off. If you're confident with the back, you can squeeze that little bit more on the way out. So, I mean, don't forget what Hickman done last year. He came through in the last few laps.
Well, we're on lap 11 out of 12, so it is almost at the end of the race.
There's Martin Jessup has managed to slide past Glenn Irwin, but you mean Glenn Irwin, he has done superb to be here in 4th position, fighting with these boys.
Hickman, Rutter, Jessup, 1, 2, 3. Where was Glenn Irwin? I saw green behind Michael Rutter. I didn't see.
You think I forgot? Is there any team orders in this Team Rutter?
There is. There it is. Martin Jessup is in 3rd place.
I tell you what,
Glenn Irwin.
with Martin having pulled that distance back, he's going to be in, and let's not forget the fast section seems to be.
He is right there,
where he can make a lot of ground.
Well, they've been racing for the first 10 laps. Glenn Irwin stayed with them, and now they've switched it to Maniac. I think Glenn Irwin might have an issue here, because he's dropped right away, hasn't he? That's not just a rider who's not happy with his 4th place. He's not happy with his motorbike, I don't think. And that would be a shame.
I think Hickman's just opening that a little bit of space on the last lap, is he? But on the fast section here, you know, and Rutter gets a good drive. Jessup will use his slipstream to pull a little bit back again, but I think it's down into Lisboa this time. Who's going to be best on the brakes? It's very, very hard to pass in the back section, so if they don't get past here, it'll be much the same around the 3rd, and then it'll be breaking into the hairpin, and then our corner will be the final decider.
Jessup is looking very threatening in 3rd. He wants to do this back to these two, doesn't he? But I think they're too quick for him out of that corner.
And Rutter's coming
on
back
the
in the
inside.
brakes.
No, I think Hickman's there safely, isn't he? That was... they were so fast out of Mandarin, those two, weren't they? Martin Jessup didn't have a chance. Up the hill for the final time.
I think Jessup, he's
not going to find this easy. Passing here is just not easy, is it?
No, not at all. Not at all. Unless someone just runs. These boys are all trying fast. I mean, Jessup, he is good round here. We watched him in practice. You know, he was putting constant fast sections in the back 3rd of this course.
But he's trying to ride round Michael Rutter. And that's not easy at the best of times.
No, it's not. And he wants to win so bad here. Let's not forget he's been 2nd and 3rd here for the last, 5 years? To be honest, he deserves a win.
He does. It's very true. We've all been saying it. Everybody wants it. It would be a very popular win if it happened. Peter Hickman, the tyre prediction pretty much coming true. But, of course, Peter Hickman can ride a motorcycle as well. He's another one who learns circuits very quickly. So he came here once, did a few laps, came back the next year, won the race. This is his 3rd visit, his 2nd actual race at Macau. And while Jessup looks threatening all over the back of Michael Rutter, he's not going to get past him now. There are only a couple of danger points for Michael Rutter to be aware of. Getting out of this hairpin now is going to be absolutely critical for Michael Rutter. He wants to get away from Jessup on the run down the hill.
Yeah, well, the next corner is the first break, and this is the 2nd point before the last where you can get on the brakes. He's not close enough to get it there. Oh, Rutter's back's twitching around.
I think Jessup was alongside, but as they go round the right-hander. It's still Jessup in third. He's alongside now. They've got the drive out of the corner. He's on the inside. He's got track position. But Rutter keeps second place. Hickman retains the lead. It's going to be Peter Hickman. Flags waving as Hickey lifts the front wheel over the line. Michael Rutter, what a second place that was for Michael Rutter, and what another great third for Martin Jessup.
I mean, to have a race like that for the full distance in Macau is just absolutely superb. You know, we wondered where's Glenn Irwin at the minute. Has he stopped?
He's in the pits.
Oh, something
he
has
definitely
gone
had a
wrong.
problem, yeah.
But I mean, he done well to be in the back of those boys after 10 laps and 11 laps. That's he's nothing to be ashamed of. He can be a proud boy.
That could have been a very different finish if Glenn Irwin had in fact been involved with it, but as we saw, a mechanical issue, and now Peter Hickman riding around the circuit on his back wheel.
Yeah, well, no wonder. If you won, you'd be riding around on the back wheel here. I mean, it's just to win the last road race of the year is just, there's no better feeling in the world. I remember it.
Yes, of course you do. Even now, after so few years, you carry that into the winter, you carry that into your training and into your contract negotiations or whatever.
I'm not sure if actually Peter has a ride for next year or not yet.
Who's in that cloud of smoke?
That's Rutter.
It is.
Oh, poor Michael. You know, he wanted to win here. Those three boys, you know, definitely wanted to win here. We watched Jessup just constantly fastest in practice. Michael got held up a few times getting his fastest lap, and again, the qualifying we didn't know until later on, but you know, Hickman couldn't qualify because it was in race tires.
Philip, Michael Rutter there, obviously delighted with that. But look at this, he's taken his helmet off, he's done the most enormous burnout ever in the world. Having a chat to Stuart Easton, does that look like a man who might not be coming back to Macau again?
No.
Do you not think so?
I think Michael...
When did you last see Michael Rutter take his crash helmet off on the slow down lap?
He's maybe one of the two... I mean, Michael has a big support here, you know, and you know, he's a big following, so you know, he's given the crowd something back there. Maybe he wants a little bit more fresh air as well, you know. I mean,
it'll be hot, but
12 laps around here in this temperature is just it's no mean feat. But to be honest, also, you know, Michael Rutter, Team Rutter, to have first and second on the rostrum, you know, it means that, you know, there's nothing wrong with his bikes or his bike building. And, you know, Michael's had a superb season, really. You know, he's been scoring every week in BSB. You know, and people keep looking going, you know, Michael Rutter's still a threat in all places, and he was a big threat here. Just Peter Hickman had that little bit more. Maybe it was tires, maybe it was riding, but he was on Dunlops, and he won the race.
Well, that was pretty much the prediction that you made earlier on before this race started. It seems like ages ago, but it wasn't that long ago, really, was it? So... and we're all jolly grateful that the organisers made that very smart decision to drop the parade lap. We all love a parade and we all love a classic bike, but we wanted to see some racing. That's what we all came here for. And as the evening gloom falls upon Macau, I think what we're expecting here is not the dawn coming up like thunder from China, but in fact the dusk coming up like thunder. The forecast for tonight is not good. So we've got this one safely away. Big emphasis on the word safely, because everyone is, I think, safely home, apart from Glenn Irwin in the pits with a mechanical issue. So great race, great result for Peter Hickman and the other two on the podium, and everybody else who got what they deserve. But I had never seen Michael Rutter do that before in my life.
Maybe he just wants his hair to blow in the wind. You know,
isn't there a penalty to be had for that? I mean, the FIA penalise you for giving people lifts and all kinds of other things, don't they? And I'm sure I've seen Grand Prix riders give each other a back to the pit lane after they've broken down during a race. But
yeah, I think, you know, Michael is waving to the people he's happy, but probably, to be honest, he just should have kept the helmet on just in case, like a little tip off at, you know, 2 miles an hour could cause a lot of damage. And, but no, he's done good, you know. He's a proud man today. All those three boys are proud. But Peter Hickman is the man that's in number one. And like I say, we were worried yesterday. The weather forecast was bad for today. So, you know, we're lucky that we've had a good race.
2 in a row for Peter Hickman. That's a pretty fair achievement. Not everybody can do that. It's very difficult to come back and win repeatedly, isn't it?
Yeah, especially with like such competition here. You know, there's always been competition, and you know, when you look, you know, at the like of John McGuinness here, Stuart Easton here, these boys are all previous winners here. Hutchie, he's a previous winner here. So you know, there was a lot of competition there today, but those boys just kept the pace on. They kept constant. They kept lap in, lap out, and I say Hickman, you know, you can say he timed it to perfection.
And he rode it to perfection. I think he doesn't want to take his crash helmet off just yet. I mean, Peter Hickman is quite clearly quite emotional about this. He's smiling now, but he's stayed inside his crash helmet for quite some time with everybody else pulling in around him. He's done the regulation winners burnout in the pit lane. Michael Rutter did his on track. Now, I've seen him do that before on track, a celebration burnout, but only when he won. And he kept his crash helmet well and truly on. I'm very interested. Oh look, here comes another one. You can't take away from Michael Rutter the fact that he enjoyed that race. He might not have enjoyed coming second, but he enjoyed that race.
No, look at him. He's a happy man. You know, to finish here, he gave it all he could. I mean, you can't say he wasn't trying. So just Peter managed to just slip that little bit more in at the last. So there's Michael talking to Jason Griffiths, who is
that'll be a tyre talk.
Yeah, that'll be a tyre talk. Okay. But look, everyone is happy to finish here safe and on the rostrum is just a great achievement.
Well, 2 in a row for Peter Hickman, and great win, great race, great afternoon. That's the last thing that happens here at the Macau Grand Prix for this afternoon. On Sunday we go racing again, but it's all the four-wheeled variety. There's so many different types of four-wheeled vehicle here for racing tomorrow that it'll be a feast for any motorsport fan. So make sure you're back with us, whether you're watching online or on TV around the world, as Peter Hickman gives his first words at the end.
To Irishman Stephen Watson.
Yes, and Michael Rutter, he does look happy. I've got to say that he definitely does. There's the official confirmation that 1, 2 and 3 you knew about. Connor Cummins did get for Horse Tiger. That's a great result for Horse Tiger. If anybody around here deserves a special Macau prize, it's going to be Horse Tiger today, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean we watched him the other day. I mean, I love Horse. He's a character. He just works so hard. Like, you think of the travelling he does to come racing in Ireland, England, Isle of Man, and you know, we were worried about him. We got a high sider. Now, it was only a second gear high sider, but they still are hurtful things, and we didn't expect him to be out again. You know, they trailed his bike away, went to the paddock, and next thing we know, where was he? In the top 6 qualifying.
Yes, he asked and was given permission to come back out and race, despite the fact that, as you said, there's no gentle way to vault 20 feet at 20 miles an hour, is there?
No. He was doing more than 20. We like to say it was a slow corner, but we call it 50 or 60 mile an hour slow, don't we? Yeah. Compared to 150 on there. You know, we were all worried for him, but look, he's a tough guy. He's got up and came back again.
Well, I'm just looking to see how our other newcomers got on, and where's Derek Shields on this list? He must be higher up. There he is. He's in 9th place. That's not a bad thing for Derek Shields and for John Burrows, is it? Just ahead of Coops, Dan Nean 11th, Didier Grahams in 12th, and we saw all that. Danny Webb and Sam West. So more newcomers. Mark Miller's been, we can call Mark Miller a veteran actually, can't we?
Do you know how many times Mark has been here?
19, I think, is it? Or was that?
I think it's 17. John McGuinness is 19 times.
It's many times, isn't it, Mark Miller?
Yeah.
He's been coming here since you were here, as you
said. My last year here. My last year riding here. Which,
so why aren't you still riding there? If Mark Miller can do it, why can't you?
I'm older than he is. You know, he's still don't forget he started when I was finishing, and no, he's done well. Mark's a great guy. He supports racing, but I was talking to him, and the vibes I was getting, look, this just might be his last year. This year or next year might be his last year, because he's realised now at his ripe old age of over 40, getting close to 50, that this is maybe not the way to spend your retirement.
No, well, as you keep saying, once you've got the bug, you've got the bug, and it's, why should I go up this weekend if I didn't give up last weekend? What's one more week? And one more week's another week and another week. another
I mean,
season.
you know, when you look at those like 3 men on the roster, look how happy they are. Why would they ever finish racing? You know what I mean? They're winning races, they're happy. You know, they've done a good job. And one thing Michael has done, he's done a superb display for his sponsors. You know, when you look at those bikes prepared immaculate, the leathers, you know, there's a lot of work in getting 3 bikes the same out, you know, on 3 competitive riders.
Yep, first, second and sixth. So that's not a bad result for the team. And this looks like the parade lap we were talking about earlier on. As we wait for our riders to appear on the rostrum and start spraying champagne, we've got a parade lap out there. I shudder to think what the value of this parade actually is. I've got some of the costings for some of the parade bikes, but I'm trying to see which one is the most expensive. There's a $150,000 Norton Commando out there at the front of this field for a start, as well as one of your favourites, the Triumph Tiger, Philip. You like the T word, don't you? But while they're going round, look, here's our podium. Martin Jessup coming out in 3rd place. Big cheer for him. 2nd place, Michael Rutter, and then winner Peter Hickman. He looks cheerful about that, doesn't he?
Yeah, come back here. Like, there was tough opposition on the to get a 2nd win here against that is just a superb achievement.
Now we get the cameras part of the podium.
Right. Now that the national anthem is over, it's time to present the trophies and, of course, the champagne. I'm expecting the young lady presenting these trophies to run away pretty quickly afterwards. I don't know what you think about that, but Philip's nodding. Philip's McCullen's been a social media star this weekend. If you're not following him on Twitter, then you've missed a book, basically. And Fiona Sipp is a pop singer of great popularity locally, presenting Martin Jessup with his wreath and trophies, and carrying on to do the same for 2nd place, Michael Rutter. And how he will hate the fact that I've just said 2nd place. And of course, to our winner here today, Peter Hickman, 2 in a row. We'll find out in the press conference just what part tyres played in that, but right now, nothing to take away from the man himself. Peter Hickman rode that superbly, as did the other 2. They rode close, they rode hard, they gave each other room, and it didn't turn ugly, and that's all part in the best traditions of road racing, isn't it?
No, it's a superb race. And one thing, you know, they all race hard, but what they have deep down, they have respect for each other and respect for this track, and that's why we can have competitive, safe racing.
So the team prize, Charles Lowe, President of the General Assembly of the Automobile General Association of Macau, China, is going to present the team prize. And who do we think is likely to be the winner of that? Let me see if I can guess. Who's the best performing team here this weekend?
I think it's another prize for Team Rutter.
Yes, so they've got the most eye-catching leathers award, neatly stitched up, if you don't mind the pun, and Charles Lowe presenting it to the team, 1st, 2nd and 6th place. You couldn't give it to anybody else.
They'll be calling Peter the Golden Boy now.
He is the golden boy at the moment, isn't he?
Yeah, no, he rode that superb, and No, he's had some great rides this year, and some rides he's been slightly disappointed in because things went wrong. But you know, he's a superb racer, and he's shown it again.
Here we go. This is the messy bit. It's the end of the day. It's the end of the weekend. Champagne is a sticky, horrible thing to have all over you. But if you're ever going to go racing again,
look at
run away.
You think of those girls afraid of getting wet?
Oh, absolutely. Martin Jessup. Bridesmaid third place. Michael Rutter, a hard-earned and hard-fought second. Peter Heckman, top of the podium, and now being soaked by his rivals. A small payback.
Yeah, a small payback for taking the win. But no matter if you get the win and you're that happy, you just stand and let them spray all day.
Yeah, do what you like. I've got it, you haven't. Pause for photographs and dispense with the wreaths and the champagne, and then we're back into the press office for that press conference. This is our historic display of motorcycles commemorating the 50th anniversary of bike racing here in Macau. This circuit was used for car racing for about 13 years before the first bike race took place here, but funnily enough, it was the man they call the father of the Macau Grand Prix. It was Teddy Yip who'd organised the car race and became deeply involved in every aspect of it. He was the first man to ride a motorcycle around here during closed roads racing. It was car racing, but the year before he rode around on a motorcycle, did a few laps and declared it an ideal circuit for bike racing. And 50 years later, you can't help feeling that he was probably dead right, because what have we just seen?
Yeah, we've just seen some superb racing, and I mean, this course is it's a hard tactical course. I know by riding it here, you know, the heat's up. There's just no runoff. It's not just a physical course; it's a mental course, because you've got to get, as you've seen the boys, you've got to get the braking right into the corner. You've got to get the right apex, or you can't get out again. And if you do go in too fast, you can't run wide. So it's there's really not much leeway.
That's a list of no options, really, isn't it? What are my options here? None. Get it right or else. I'd like to try and keep up with there's a Lambretta out there that is valued at £50,000, 1978 Z1R, which is valued at $200,000.
I think some of these bikes have came from all over the world, if I was listening right earlier in the week.
Yes, they I think a lot of them are locally owned, but a lot of them, as you say, have come from all over the place. And there's every kind of motorcycle out there.
Well, there is a lot of money in Macau, so in Macau, yes, but in Hong Kong, so the Hong Kong people do collect a lot of stuff from all over the world.
See, yeah, I find that very hard to believe that if you look at the number 50 plate there, I caught a glimpse of it earlier on at the tail end. Honda made a McDoan replica as a tribute to his World Championships. And you can have one of those. You can pick one of those up for 80. No, is it 80? Yes, $80,000. A mere 80 grand for a McDoan replica.
Look at these group of people here on their little paddock bikes. There's your Lambrettas. I mean, a great selection of bikes here.
Yes, it'd be nice to visit the display, but I'm sure that some of the expensive stuff here, they don't want to leave it in a place where people can get too close to it. I mean, we often see this, do we not, at road race events? There's a little historic gathering and one or two manufacturers perhaps bring something special, but if you've got something that's worth a couple of $100,000, you don't want to leave it where children can climb all over it, do you?
No, and there's a lot of really, no matter where you, motorcycles are one of those objects. They're collected by people all over the world, and no matter what country you go to, I've been to America and seen collections. Come to Ireland, you know, you come to Northern Ireland or Ireland in general and see how many bikes appear out of the woodwork there. You know, they're just tucked away in garages everywhere, just like every other country.
I've just seen a Lambretta with $50,000 worth of mirrors on the front, so yes, every kind of motorcycle here, as you say. And of course, in this part of the world, this is still the most popular form of transport. The weather is far more suited to motorcycle riding here than it is in, say, Northern Ireland, where the wetter weather is great for the grass and the cream and butter, but it plays hell with riding a motorcycle, doesn't it?
That's the day you leave your bike at home and take the car.
Yeah.
We need two means of transport in Northern Ireland. But look, we've been down the streets here. You know, we've been in. They're just full of bikes everywhere. There's just bikes parked on top of bikes, beside bikes, bikes everywhere.
It's all getting a bit adventurous in the middle of the pack now. One or two wheelies being seen. And I'll tell you, I'll give my age away now. I can remember riding down to Brighton in a bunch of Lambrеттers that look very similar to that.
You weren't a mod in your younger day, were you?
I started off being a mod until I discovered that small wheels just aren't very good for you. They just don't do it at all in the corners, and you need bigger wheels or you can't get round roundabouts.
I know how long that straight is there, and there's a lot of bikes here. You know, when we looked earlier, I thought, yeah, there's bikes, but over the last couple of days, we've seen some of these bikes on like large. There's your mod scooter.
That's going to be 50 grand worth of mirrors of anybody's money, isn't it?
And you know, we've seen little collections of these bikes everywhere, but now they're in one place. There's a lot of bikes out there.
Yeah. Great way to end the day as well. And I think actually this is being much more greatly appreciated by the spectators here. Knowledgeable, enthusiastic fans is what you get around the Macau Grand Prix circuit every year. But if you were watching this and waiting for a race, you'd be thinking, come on, get out of the way, we want to go racing. Even if you were the most tolerant spectator. But now this is just a load of laughs, isn't it?
But this is a lot of people celebrating. You know, the celebration here is 50 years of motorcycle racing, and you know, for a track to be going that long, and basically when you see the footage and see the old ones, this track is the same basically as it was 50 years ago.
Oh, it is. There's very little difference as our heroes of the modern Grand Prix era make it to the press conference, get themselves settled in. Stephen Davidson, Northern Ireland Mafia, hard at work taking pictures here.
Yeah.
Northern Ireland is one of those places that has been associated with motorcycle road racing since day one, and that's something else. There's no real explanation for that either, is there? Why?
No, why? Because we were just crazy people that had crazy roads, and we loved riding on them, you know. And you know, one of our most world famous people obviously is Joey Dunlop, and Joey has been here several times himself to race at the Macau Grand Prix, and you know, there's a lot of celebration by people. They've loved this place, and they want to show their little bit of happiness back.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the press call.
Well, we will be back with the press conference for the Macau Grand Prix motorcycle on the other side of this advert break.
And ladies and gentlemen, in third place on the Riders BMW for Martin Jessup. Give him a round of applause, please. Well done, Martin. Great battle at the front. And Martin, I think it all boiled down to that a couple of laps to go, just going down into Lisboa. Can you tell us what happened here?
Yeah, I was going down to Lisboa and went for the gears, and there was just nothing there. I just hit the false neutral. So I pulled the clutch in, which obviously I lost on my engine braking, and I was trying to go down, go up, left, right, centre, just nothing. So I coasted into the corner with no engine braking, which is pretty scary, and and Glenn had come past by then. So yeah, I started to pull over, you know, because you need the wheels to be at a slow speed to get it back into gear, and sort of as I slowed down, it fired back into life. By which time the leaders were into the next corner. So I knew I could still do it. I give everything I had to come back through, and managed to put a good move up on Glen Irwin up in the mountain, which I practiced this morning on Hutchie, and I got through, and then I put everything I had in those last lap and a half, so to win the race, but just wasn't good enough. The other guys are on it.
Other guys, all four, he is on it, and Glen Irwin, a good performance by a newcomer. You've been here as a newcomer as well, but
yep.
The pace you guys setting at the front, not as hot as what we thought it was going to be, but by God, what a race you four, when you all got going, was incredible. Tell us from your point of view, could you see the move that Peter put on Michael Rutter as you were having engine problems?
No, it wasn't, to be honest. I didn't see, I can't remember where it was. I think they come over side of me, and that was during when I was having the problem. Not saying that they come past because I had the problem. That was happening anyway. But yeah, so I was sort of just minding my own business. But I was just saying to the guys, riding around here on your own in practice and everything, it's one place. But when you're going into Mandarin and you're right up someone's arse and you can't see nothing, and the wind buffering, it's just mental. It's a crazy race, and you know, gutted I'm not to win, but yeah, we'll be back here next year.
Third place in the 50th Macau Motorcycle Grand Prix for Martin Jessup. And in second place, ladies and gentlemen, 8-time winner, another podium for Michael Rutter. Michael, short circuit racing around the roads.
Yes, definitely. That's what it was. You know, I got a good start. I got the lead all perfect. I thought, get my head down and, you know, I knew it was going to be hard on the tyres, and I just thought, just keep smooth and try and plug away. And I started pulling a little gap, and then they'd come straight back on me, and I could hear them, you know, especially the Ducati. I thought, this is going to be one hell of a race. This is going to be hard. And I didn't realise where Peter and Martin were. All I could hear was a Ducati. I thought, just keep my head down, keep it calm. And then Martin come flying past. I thought, oh no, here we go. This is going to be another hard race again. So I just thought, I just can't let him go. I just, every time I'm going to get a chance, I'm going to just, you know, shove it up the inside of him. And I got the chance going into Lisboa. And I thought, right, get my head down again. And I was happy enough and trying to keep it smooth. And I thought, oh no, it's Peter come past. And I thought, oh, this is terrible now. And especially, obviously, being my teammate and that. And I thought, I've got to do him. I've got to do him into the last corner, well, into the hairpin. And I just tried everything I could. But he just, you know, he was just riding perfect. He looked like he was on rails, and I was skittering all over the place trying to hang on.
It seemed a bit dusty out there as well. There wasn't much grip. Lap times were down.
Yeah, it was a bit. It wasn't the best conditions, but you know, it was trying to manage the race. Really, we could have gone quicker. I think all of us. It's just, you know, can overshoot so easy and mess up here. And you know, it's like Martin said, you miss a gear or something. Every gear change has got to be right, and you know, you've got to be bang on line. But just fair play to Pete and SMT and Bathams, because you know, we desperately wanted to win this one.
Well, he did with Pete. We'll come to Pete in a minute. But talk us through that move at Lisboa on that lap. You ran wide, and Peter followed you as well, and was kind of kissing the little bales on the exit there.
Well, I didn't see him, you know, thank God. I just thought, just, you know, keep it tight and get a good drive out there. That's all I was worried about, because I thought Martin was going to cut past up and inside, but I didn't realise Peter was there as well.
And ladies and gentlemen, the winner of the 50th Macau Motorcycle Grand Prix, 2 on the run for Peter Hickman. Peter, you and Glenn having a heck of a battle. Then you, Glenn, Michael and Martin having a heck of a battle too. Talk us through the race in your words.
Yeah, what a hard race that was. You know, I knew we were going to be strong towards the mid and towards the end, and starting 7th on the grid definitely wasn't ideal. But, you know, I got a good start. It's funny because every practice start I've done has been pretty rubbish. But I did a good one when it counted and got away in 4th, so I was quite happy sat there behind Glenn for a little bit. And I was kind of hoping that they were going to start coming backwards toward the middle of the race, and they didn't come back as far as I expected. So I really had to dig in there, and it's one of the hardest races I've actually ever done. And all 3 of them kept me honest. You know, it was hard to pass Glenn. Glenn was riding really well his first time here. And the Ducati pulls so strong off the turns, it was really hard to get near him to pass him properly. So, yeah, just want to say a massive thank you to SMT and Bathams. You know, they've done a mega job bringing all 3 of us here, me, Michael and Stuart. And to run a team like that is really difficult. I've never even seen the bike until Thursday morning, which was really hard. You know, last time I rode a BMW was a year ago, so it was a steep learning curve, but we managed to do it.
What about that move he did on Michael? Michael ran wide, and we all thought, please not into the bales at Lisboa. You were picking it up a bit.
Yeah, I mean, I was really good on the exit of turn 1 and 2, so out of Mandarin I had a really strong drive, and Michael had a good strong drive on Martin. So I ended up with a double kind of slipstream, so when I did get on the brakes after doing Martin on the straight, I kind of crap myself a little bit, if I'm honest. And I could see Michael was struggling to stop, and I was struggling to stop, and I had a moment where I nearly ran on, and then I just thought, nope, dig it in. I went back to first, actually, rather than keeping it in second. Normally it's a second gear corner. Went back to first just to make the thing pull in and stop, and luckily we got away with it.
Ladies and gentlemen.